I'm eating chocolate.
Sunday. I currently have some white chocolate and peppermint bark that's going for me because I ate all my other chocolate already because I couldn't wait because it was like, I have to wait till 2? I don't think so. Because Joe kept telling me I should wait and eat my chocolate during the broadcast. I'm like, I want my chocolate now. And then actually we kind of got started yesterday. So I don't know.
Duncan's like, what does Joe know about moderation?
Exactly.
About as much as Duncan does.
I see nothing wrong with that. At all. Well, Ann Brothers, it is currently snowing here in Dresser, Wisconsin, which it has not done in forever. It's like weird to me. I'm like, I didn't even know it knew how to precipitate anymore because it literally has not precipitated here in like a month. It's crazy. It's been very interesting as far as our weather in northwestern Wisconsin this year. It has been warm, which I'm not complaining about even a little bit. And unlike many people, I'm not really married to a white Christmas. So yeah.
I'm totally not married to a white Christmas. I couldn't care less about a white Christmas.
In fact, last Christmas was actually
not really a Christmas person.
I'm not really either. Last Christmas was awesome because it was warm and we got to go outside for Christmas and have a fire. It was nice. I loved that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No,
that was fun. We did a whole family thing.
I know. Remember that time we did stuff together? Yeah, that's great.
I forgot you could do that sort of thing. People used to do that.
I know.
When we were kids, we used to get together for holidays.
Instead of doing this. It's like, George, right. It's all going to be like this. So there you go. The good news is, Anne, is that we can always drug ourselves with delicious chocolate things like what we're talking about today. Yeah, and that's the stuff from C's. Yummy. Yeah. And thank goodness for chocolate. Seriously. I've been trying to kind of undo the chocolate damage I've done to myself over the last, say, 11 months. So getting there. I'm getting there. I finally, I don't know. I've sort of finally, I've finally found some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some routine with my home gym lifestyle. So, we got our little treadmill that we bought on the Amazon. It's a little $400, doesn't have a motor. It's on an angle. It's an actual human powered treadmill. And I gotta tell you, it's a great little thing. And then
you're like a hamster. You're literally like a hamster.
Actually, I would actually love it if it was a real life hamster wheel because that would be amazing. And then just a lot of bands, like resistance bands rather than regular weights, which is nice too. So it's working out. I would say I've had a good month of December, and I've kind of just found a routine, which is nice. So but in the meantime, I'm still consuming large quantities of sugar, fat, salt, and chocolate. I was gonna say,
the exercise thing is doing pretty well. Because I like not going to the gym. So I do a lot of like walking and yoga. And sometimes I even do some sweating to the oldies, getting me back to my 90s exercise routine.
Richard!
No, I love it. Because everybody on the video is less hot than I am. So it's great. I love that. But like you, I can't quite seem to get my eating quite where it needs to be. Some days are good. Some days are...
Some days I have to remind myself that it's okay for me to eat a vegetable or a fruit.
Exactly. Or perhaps to just stop eating at all.
Yeah, I guess I could do that too, I suppose. So, but yeah. Oh, and you could also prancercise. Don't forget the joys of prancercise. So
yeah, I'm not that confident of myself. Or
I love that one.
I'm not quite that self-delusional. I'm very confident and pretty delusional, but not quite that delusional.
So for those of us that haven't, for those of you out there that have no idea what we're talking about, just go to YouTube and type in prancercise. You're welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you talk about a woman that just is full of self-confidence or self-delusion. I have no idea. We can make fun of her all, and we can make fun of, Joanne, is that her name? Who does the prancer? I don't know.
Can't remember.
We can literally make fun of her all we want, but the woman has literally over 1 million+ views of her prancercise videos. So who's laughing now? She
exactly. We have 300 followers sometimes.
Yeah.
So
So pretty excited about that. I suppose though, Anne, if we wanted to, if we put on overly tight white pants and kind of dance walked to hard rock and tunes, we could probably have 1 million followers too.
Yes, but would it be the right kind of followers?
Probably not. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I make fun of myself enough. Do I need 1 million other people doing it too?
I don't know. That's kind of half the fun. So, hey, do you want to talk about chocolate? Let's talk.
Oh my gosh, I so do. I so do.
Good. I'm going to add the chocolate to our stream. There it is. Gosh, doesn't that look good? So I never really gave chocolate much thought, other than just eating it constantly when I was younger, until I took Annie Hannon's economic botany class back in the day. So I learned a lot of chocolate stuff from Annie, and really grateful for that. And also because whenever Annie would give a test, she would give us chocolate. So
because it makes you feel better.
That makes you feel. I forgot. In fact, I was feeling kind of bad about it, but I didn't really talk about the chemical side of chocolate during this presentation. So sorry, you guys. All I can say is theobromine. That's all you need to know. Okay, done.
There you go.
Theobromine, caffeine, done. All right. So anyway, let's look it up. It's essentially the chemical that makes you feel happy when you eat chocolate. It's also the same chemical that sort of apparently is an aphrodisiac, though I think that's actually kind of overrated. It's the same chemical that your brain releases when you're getting all, excited, So
right. I'm like, can I eat chocolate while I'm getting excited? Because that would make me excited.
And the short answer, Anne, is yes, you could. Yes. I love it. So, okay, this was my first thought when I was thinking about this yesterday, was this question, because if you've never seen a cacao pod, they are some crazy looking pods. And so I've got on the picture on the left, the big question is, how did we get, why does that look so small today? Give me a second. I'm going to stop that and I'm going to see if I can get that to, it just looks super small. I don't know.
It's so tiny today.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Hang on. Stream, share, Chrome tab, chocolate, go. How about, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just going to be a little tiny today. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. You're right. It does look small today.
I don't know. Maybe that will help. Well, that just got rid of us. Now we're not there. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you're going to have to, I don't know what's happening. Sure, maybe it's my settings in the Google. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. If it happens if I do that. What happens if I do that? Nothing. What happens if I do this? Nothing. Okay, well then fine. Be that way, the Google. Whatever. Yeah. Look, we have somebody that's already made a comment. Let's see what they have to say. Commentary comes from yeah, I know, Susie, right? She just said it's so tiny. So I guess we'll just have to talk really loud to compensate.
I'm gonna eat some chocolate, make me feel better.
Excellent. All right. So anyway, the question was, how did we get from these weird looking pods to all this amazing chocolate? And I was thinking about that because it really doesn't. I would agree, Monica. Chocolate never takes a bad picture. It's true. But it occurred to me as I was waking up this morning. I'm like, of course. So here we are. It's 4,000 years ago, and here we are. We're the Olmecs, which is a Mesoamerican group on the Gulf side of Mexico, just south of just off, maybe just north of the Yucatan. And it's like, how did they decide to eat what was in these giant pods? And then it occurred to me, I'm like, of course, they saw an animal eating it first, and then they're like, what's that animal eating that stuff? What does that animal know that I don't know? Because it was probably like a monkey or something that was like, chewing on these things and breaking them open, and was like getting super high. And so that's what I thought. I'm like, I'm totally inferring this, to use a science word, but I'm like, that makes perfect sense. And that's probably just good scientific observation of an animal eating something and really enjoying it, and then going, maybe I should try that. So
maybe I will enjoy that too.
That's what I think happened. I don't know. That's not a fact. I cannot verify it. But based on, what animals do, I'm like, it makes sense as far as I'm concerned. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Your mom's a Mesoamerican group. Susie, why you got to be like that? And actually, our mom is. to be honest with you.
Actually, she is. Kind of funny.
Funny that you should say that.
True.
My mom is a nice mix of both Portuguese and the Native American groups of, say, northern New Mexico, southwest United States. So yeah, totally.
She's Pueblovian, but don't tell our grandmother that because we're only Spanish.
That's right. Yes, absolutely Pueblovian. And was it our cousin Joe actually did the ancestry.com on that? And yeah, lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we're like, oh, hey, look at that. Susie's rolling over her grave.
Sorry, Grandma. My bad.
Sorry, Grandma.
Wait, what if I do this? What if I make it go full screen? Is it bigger now? Oh,
yeah.
It worked. Yes. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Nice
Marla,
job,
you don't
Jenny
want to
brother.
go outside. Marla, you don't want to go outside. It's snowing. Sorry, my cat wants to go out right now, but it's snowing. She'll take one look at that and run right back inside. All right. Anyway, so I think it starts with us watching animal behavior, and then, we go through this process. So, you have these funky looking cacao pods, and then in them are these cocoa beans that they essentially set out and let them like ferment essentially in the sun. And then they take those beans and they clean them off, and then they roast them and they winnow them, and then you end up with a cocoa nib, and then they grind them and you end up with the chocolate liqueur, and then they process it, mix it, and put a bunch of stuff in it, and then boom, you have cocoa powder and or solid chocolate, depending on what type of processing you're doing. So, if we look at that process, you wouldn't think. It's really hard. So when you're sitting down eating that delicious bar of chocolate or white chocolate or whatever, it's really hard to get there. Yeah. And so it really is. Seriously, Marla, you're killing me right now. Sorry, you guys. My cat is giving me a hard time. Okay, fine. I'll be back, and talk amongst yourself. Here, I'll give you something to talk about. You can talk about this slide right here, the origins of chocolate. All right, come on.
The origins of chocolate. So I also took Annie Hannon's economic botany class on chocolate. And so give you a little, very minor background, but it was basically first consumed as a fermented beverage. So kind of like where we have like modern hot chocolate, it kind of all started with this fermented beverage. And like, I believe the Mayans and the Olmecs drank it hot, but the Aztecs drank it cold. And so, but they've been, using it since 450 BCE, so before Christ epoch. So it's been around for a long time, and it was a central South American thing. So the Olmecs, they started out with it. They didn't have a written recipe, like they left no like written quote unquote history. We just know it was part of the culture, but like the Aztecs and the Mayans left recipes like how to prepare this. They had specific rituals where they would drink it. It wasn't like, and they also used it as money.
Big time.
So you could trade like 100 cacao beans would get you a canoe full of water, or a female turkey, or 10 cacao beans would get you, the special lady of your choice for a certain amount of time. So it was often used as money, which I thought was very interesting. The Mesoamerican groups would mix it with certain things like chili, which is so good. If you've ever had hot chocolate with a little bit of chili in it, oh my God, it's my favorite thing. And sometimes they would use vanilla. Sometimes they'd use like corn puree, which would probably sweeten it up a bit. But sugar didn't get added to cocoa until it was introduced in Europe in the 16th century. Then the Europeans added sugar to it. So there you go. Jenny added this, very interesting. The word chocolate is a combo of the word cocola, which is hot, and alt, which is water. So chocolat or chocolate. So basically, hot water.
Delicious.
Delicious.
I love the stories too about how they would. One of the big things about this chocolate, this beverage, is that they would froth it. But unlike unlike today, where you put the steaming foam thing in, they would literally just pour it from cup to cup at a standing height. And like literally, like they put the cup on the ground and they would just pour it. And so they would do that over and over until they got this big frothy top on it. I'm like, man, that took some time. And again, who decided that they wanted to froth it? I'm like, what mistake happened there that They're like, hey man, if we froth this, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly. Or that, like, I know I like vanilla. I know I like chili. I know I like corn puree. What if I put it in this?
Again, I'm like, the history of food fascinates me. And like, when did we and how do we come up with these things that become these rituals and traditions and the things that we love now? I'm fascinated by the history of our tastes of things like this, of chocolate, of coffee, of these things that don't seem super appealing, at the time.
Right. Well, we talked about coffee and that supposedly some guy watched his goat eat some coffee beans and start to feel, a little more perky. So again, there, like how much is probably they did watch some animal eat something, but how you went from watching a goat eat this to, hey, let's roast these. Hey, let's grind these. Hey, let's drink this with hot water. I'm like, where do you,
Well, and that's why I tell
it wasn't a 1-day process.
No, and that's why I tell my students is that, if we look at what science is, and I tell people this all the time, is that science is not, we have this idea in our head that science is a thing. I'm like, nah, man, science is not a thing. It's a process. And how we come about making things like edible chocolate and this chocolate drink is very scientific. The process by which we decide, and trial and error and trial and error and trial and error, which is all very much the scientific process. So, and that leads us to our next slide, which is essentially the big names in the history of chocolate. And I've just kind of gone down the line here with, like, we start with the Olmecs, like I said, literally damn near 4,000 years ago, who were the first to harvest and start developing the use of these pods. The Mayans picked up through trade. The Mayans picked up where they left off. Eventually, here come the Aztecs, who couldn't grow it, so they just took it because, they're where they lived at the time in more, central and northern Mexico, they couldn't grow it because the altitude was wrong. So I'm like, well, we're really good at war. We're going to take it and enslave the people that grow it. There you go. Yay. The Aztec way. Well, and again, here comes the Spanish, the conquistadors and the missionaries. And the missionaries made bank on chocolate. Holy moly. It's amazing how much money, how much money was generated once the missionaries and conquistadors brought the chocolate back to Spain. That it got big in a hurry. So then you go through this time where the Spanish and the Italians start to experiment with chocolate. You have the Dutch, Van Houten in 1828 creates the cocoa press, which allows him to separate the cocoa butter from the rest of the chocolate and then eventually mix it back in. But by removing the cocoa butter, you can make chocolate powder, cocoa powder, essentially. Then you have Daniel Peter and Henry Nestle. The Swiss kind of got their hands on it after that, and they started experimenting with trying to make it more palatable because early cocoa was not super delicious. And so, you started working, these two Swiss men, Peter and Nestle, that one that would put milk in the chocolate, Daniel Peter, he couldn't keep it from mildewing. Here comes Henry Nestle with his powdered milk. They start working with that, and then they essentially start to modernize chocolate. Lindt comes in, makes it even smoother. Lindt is probably the one that is most responsible for making the chocolate that we are most familiar with today. And then you have Cadbury and Company, who was a marketing genius, who basically he's the first one that put it in a heart-shaped box and said, and really did the marketing to appeal to a way to get people to eat more chocolate. Chocolate's about love. Okay. Chocolate's about friendship. Chocolate's about cute little girls in cute dresses. And so, yeah, anyway, and I would agree. Monica is saying that those people that involved in the making of coffee should be sainted, knighted, and in some other way shown the pearly gates of heaven. So yeah, so you see a lot of familiar names. Oh, look, Anne has a heart-shaped box. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that? Oh.
It was a Russell Stover's, and I picked it out specifically for the box because, one, it's got glitter in it, and I'm a sucker for glitter. 2, the chocolate was terrible, but I ate it all. And 3, I think I'm going to make a purse out of this.
That's hilarious. I would, you know what, you should, and then you should put pictures. Susan Nelson says Lindt, one of my favorites. Yeah, I do. I like the little Lindt balls that have the stuff in them, the various little truffle balls. Those are really good.
Truffle ball. I love anything food with ball in it.
Susie's admiring your glittery purse to be, Anne. So yeah. So anyway, like I said, and again, you guys, if you look at the history of these names in chocolate, it was very much about trying to make a better product that more people would want. And so when you finally got to Cadbury in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was very much became this thing that said, chocolate is for everybody. Because, back in the days when all of this was getting started, chocolate was for the wealthy. When chocolate was making its way to Europe, it was not for everybody. It was only for the super rich. Your Medicis, your popes, your kings, that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
it was not for regular folk. No
chocolate for them.
No. So thanks, Mr. Cadbury. You made it for us. Susie is co-signing on your yummy balls comment. Hilarious.
There it is. It's out there now.
You said balls.
Balls.
Sorry, and that, of course, immediately takes me to Saturday Night Live, 2 sweaty balls.
And sweaty balls.
It's that time of year, too, you guys. So take some time, treat yourself to some sweaty balls on YouTube. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Anne, take us through the types of chocolate.
Well, there's 3 types of chocolate, and there's no specific prescription as to what is like a dark chocolate. Most of the time, it's at least 50% cocoa. So it'll be, and there's no milk in it, but there will be sugar depending on how sweet you want your dark chocolate to be. So you can get like chocolate bars that are like 80% cocoa, which are fairly bitter. I mean, I like a nice dark chocolate, but I usually don't go above like 70. But but anything like above like 55% is often considered a dark chocolate. So it'll contain the solid cocoa, which is the cocoa nibs. There will be no butter, no milk in it. But there probably will be sugar added just because, 100% cocoa is very bitter. So that's a dark chocolate, no milk in it. A milk chocolate will start with the cocoa nibs, of course, and there'll be less cocoa and more additives like milk or sugar. Usually quite a bit of milk and a lot more sugar than in dark chocolate. And then, of course, the white chocolate, there's no cocoa whatsoever. It's just cocoa butter and sugar, milk, and sometimes vanilla. And that's usually what you're tasting with the cocoa butter is the vanilla. So that's it's a lot different than I like white chocolate, but just a little bit. Usually when I want chocolate, I want chocolate. When I want white chocolate, I want it in cookie form with macadamia nuts. So
see, I love white chocolate, and that was an evolution for me. It took me a long time to really appreciate and love white chocolate. And I think part of it, what I love about white chocolate, is I love the fattiness of it. I love the fact that it's almost entirely cocoa butter, which is the best.
Yeah, no, so, that's exactly it. I'm not craving, when I crave white chocolate, it's not for the chocolate. I'm craving the fat in it. Because it's but I prefer, my preference is dark chocolate. I like a nice dark chocolate with a little bit of nut or something in it. Something gives it a little bit of crunch. Milk chocolate's okay, but I would much rather have dark chocolate.
I'm not a huge lover of dark chocolate, and I have to admit that I feel like any chocolate bar that has like 70% more or cocoa is just a big bar of sadness. So if I'm eating dark chocolate, I'm usually in that 52%, of the dark chocolate. It's practically not dark chocolate at all, and I'm not sorry. So, and again, if Joe and I had this conversation. In fact, Anne, you and I need to do an ice cream one because
great idea.
Joe and I were talking about our favorite ice cream treats, and I tend to be pretty simple in my chocolate needs. And I'm the same way with ice cream that I am with chocolate. The more simple, the better. I really like a good milk chocolate by itself, or if I get a dark chocolate, I like it to be something simple, maybe some sort of dried fruit in it, like. And we'll talk about this in a minute. There's a place in Littleton called the Chocolate Therapist, and they do a really delicious dark chocolate with dried blueberries in it. It's yummy. So, but yeah, the more simple, the better. I don't require a ton of nuts or weird stuff or caramel or stuff in my chocolate. I really just like a really good, smooth piece of milk chocolate. Susie says dark chocolate with some nice nuts balls. So there we are. We managed to transition from balls to nuts. So high five.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking us there, Susie. We love you.
Yeah. Maybe we should have this on at 9 p.m. because this one's getting a little blue.
This one is blue. Sorry. Cover your children's ears and eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, or you can just let them know that people say things like balls and nuts, and it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Monica says, I only do dark chocolate now so I can justify the health benefits. I'm like, I don't need no justification. I'm a grown ass woman. I'm going to eat my chocolate however I want. How much? However I want. That's all right, Monica. Not to disparage you in any way. Good job taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly.
So there's that.
Exactly.
All right. So as far as some great places to get chocolate, there are so many. This is a list of local favorites. So there's a bunch of Michigan establishments. There are some Wisconsin, Minnesota establishments, and I did throw in the Chocolate Therapist in Littleton, Colorado. And would you care to talk about your Michigan favorites?
My most favorite place to get chocolate in Michigan is the Grocer's Daughter. I cannot walk out of there without like $30 to $40 worth of chocolate every time I go. It's in Empire, Michigan, right on Lake Michigan. They make their own chocolate. They don't just buy chocolate and melt it and make it into confections. They actually produce their own chocolate. It is amazing chocolate. My favorite is they have, I have several favorites, but they have this caramel, a dark chocolate caramel with chili in it. I love chocolate with chili in it. And then my second favorite thing that they do is they do a hot chocolate, a Dragon's Breath hot chocolate with dark chocolate and cinnamon and cayenne pepper. So delicious. Their chocolate is beautiful. It tastes amazing. They do a lot of bars, just really simple bars with like a blueberry or another fruit or different kinds of nuts. I adore that place a million. I go visit Duncan's family just so I can go to Empire and get chocolate. I'm like, sure, we can go visit your family. I'm going to spend half the day and, they have they grow a bunch of their own herbs, and then they use those herbs in a lot of their creams for their fillings for their truffles and their caramel. It's just an amazing place. I want to work there when I grow up and eat chocolate. So that's my most favorite place. And I often look for chocolate places when I go because I love good chocolate. I mean, it's not like I won't eat crappy chocolate, but I really love it. And I think that's probably, of all the chocolate places I've been to thus far in my life, Grocer's Daughter and Empire is the best one.
Really
there's Cherry's Chocolates in Kalamazoo. They do a great job, really fun stuff. Veruca Chocolate in Chicago. What were we saying about Veruca? It's not experimental. I
would call it adventurous. It's an adventurous chocolate emporium.
Yeah.
And there's places that you can go that I would just say, like, you go to See's Candy in Kalamazoo or Fannie Farm or whatever chocolate places.
Fannie Mae, yeah.
Fannie Mae. They're really good. I would just say basic places to go get chocolate. Veruca, like Veruca chocolate is the difference between going out to eat at Applebee's and going to a really nice fine dining establishment. Veruca Chocolates in Chicago is a fine dining establishment. Their chocolate is it's interesting. It's outrageous. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah. And it's art, and it's incredibly artistic. It's and that's one of the things about fine dining. Fine dining isn't just about how it's going to taste. It needs to taste beautiful. It needs to taste fantastic, but it also needs to look a particular way. And that's what Veruca does, is that their chocolate has such a distinct artistic flair to it. It's visually stunning. I love it. Yeah. And that's something that you usually don't see in chocolate. So
it's you almost don't want to eat it because it's so beautiful. But I still do. Bon 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 is actually, they're out of Hamtramck, but they do have places now in Detroit and Ann Arbor. And they're their chocolate is good. It's fun. It's a really fun place to get interesting chocolate. And they're very much about the marketing. They're very much about packaging. I mean, you walk in there and they cut the box to the shape of how many chocolates you got. It comes with stickers and fancy, I just like, me, I'm a sucker for that. I mean, hence, so totally a sucker for that. the chocolate is very good. And again, one of those places I can't wait. I'm like, I only spent $30 on chocolate and I'm not sharing any of it, So it's a fun place. Mindo Chocolates in Dexter, Michigan is, they actually make their, I'm sorry?
I'm going to interrupt you real quick because Katie Clemens has joined us and she said she's in the middle of eating an apple and she came onto this. And now I want chocolate. Katie, drop what you're doing. Go down to Five Lakes. They still serve chocolates there and get their chocolate covered peanuts because they're double chocolate covered peanuts because those are one of my favorite things ever. So, or you can just go get some chocolate so that you can dip your apple in chocolate. There you go.
There you go. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Mindo Chocolates. Go ahead.
I was going to say nothing makes fruit taste better than dipping it in chocolate. So, yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Mindo Chocolates, Dexter, go.
Mindo Chocolates in Dexter. They actually have a partnership with chocolate places in South America and Central America. So they actually bring their chocolate up directly from there. The only problem I've ever had with their chocolate is very good. They're just starting to do more fun stuff. They started out with bars. Sometimes I find that really good chocolate bars, if you don't get them from the source and you get them from a store, they sit around too long and turn white because people don't buy them fast enough. And I've had problems with that. With their chocolate, but it's not their fault. Donkers in Marquette, Michigan, old school chocolate place. They make these peanut butter cups like the size of your head that Duncan can't resist. And their bark, they have an excellent chocolate bark. Jenny, these next ones are all yours.
Yeah. So the first one, I'm basically, because like I said, here in Dresser, Wisconsin, we've got some pretty decent chocolate in this area. The first one is close by. It's the Chocolate Gnome right in Osceola, which is about 4 miles up the road from us. And again, a really good local chocolate shop. They do, I would just say really good. They have a lot of barks. They have a lot of, chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate covered graham crackers, chocolate covered Nutter Butters. I had their, I took about 30 seconds to eat all of these dark chocolate pillows, which is essentially dark chocolate covered marshmallows. And I am a sucker for any sort of chocolate covered marshmallow, any. Currently also eating their peppermint white chocolate bar, very good. I really like their dark and their white chocolates a little bit more than their milk chocolate, but really great local. The other one is the St. Croix Chocolate Company, which is just down the road from us in Minnesota on Marine on St. Croix, which is right down Highway 95, kind of between Scandia and Stillwater. And again, I would describe them as being a little bit higher end in terms of the chocolates. They do smaller batches. They do, again, make their own chocolates. In fact, right now they're closed until Wednesday because they're out, because they produce all of their own chocolates. And as a result of that, they do much smaller batches. It's much harder to get, and their chocolate's very good, especially their caramels and stuff that they do. Very good. Daniela's Chocolates in Forest Lake. She does a lot of really good stuff. Not only is her chocolate very good, but she makes great gelato and really good hot chocolate. The kids that I teach love her hot chocolate. So thank you, Daniela, for that. If you drop down to Stillwater, you've got Tremblay. I don't know what it is about Stillwater. There's 3 different candy shops in downtown Stillwater. Tremblay's and Candyland. They have just about any kind of candy you can want. And then they also make chocolate there as well. And again, lots of really good treats. I want to say I can't remember which one. They do a chocolate covered s'more. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And then one of my all-time favorites is this little place in right downtown Littleton called the Chocolate Therapist. It used to be called the Chocolate Pharmacy or the Chocolate Pharmacist. I'm not really sure why they changed it. They might have sold it. I don't know. I haven't been there in years. But again, really good chocolate. Lots of really good fruity chocolate barks, which I like. Dried cherries, dried berries, blueberries. So a lot of really great places to get chocolate. And I was talking to Katie, I was just talking about Five Lakes, which used to be Great Lakes Coffee and Chocolate. They have really scaled back on their chocolate. I've not been there in a while, so I don't know if they're still selling chocolate. And they do a nice job of just real basics. Again, chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate covered pretzels. And like I said, my favorite thing here, if they still have it, is the double chocolate covered peanuts. Literally can't stop eating them. I had to quit working there when I was there because I was eating too many of those. I couldn't help it.
if you're looking like to buy chocolate for the holidays and you want to buy chocolate, like Jenny and I focused on the local places, all of these places do shipping, so you can buy their chocolate online and have it shipped wherever you want in the country. So if you have that special person in mind who loves chocolate, they all do. You know, they all ship all over the country. So they might be local for us, but they can be international.
And it's a great way. It's a great, delicious, fun way to support a local business. You know, and because it's we're in the midst of this pandemic. Businesses are really hurting. It's a fantastic way to get some really great chocolate, to shop local without having to be local, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I know Katie Wright. She's co-signing on what I said about Five Lakes' chocolate covered peanuts. Gosh, they are good. It's the extra layer of chocolate. So yeah. Right on. Now, we would be remiss, though, if we did not talk about two things: the entertaining of chocolate and the dark side of chocolate. So, as far as chocolate in entertainment, or chocolate in pop culture, if you would, here are some basics, some good stuff. And you want to go through these?
I do. I'd be happy to. Of course, the first one is the movie Chocolat, and it's a fun film. It makes you want chocolate, and not just chocolate. It's just like food. I mean, like it's so sensual. The whole movie is sensual, but then the food with it, you're just like, oh my God, I want to eat. And you don't want to eat crappy chocolate or crappy food when you're watching this. You want to eat really good chocolate or really good food. So if you haven't seen it, came out in 2000, directed by Lars Hallström, who also did Cider House Rules, and we did another one that I am pretty fond of. Anyway, so good director, a female a composer, great soundtrack. Again,
it is a good soundtrack. Actually, that one.
Yeah. Lends to the sensuality of the movie. Then, of course, you have Juliette Binoche and Lena Olin, who were also together in Unbearable Lightness of Being. So if you're a big movie person, Johnny Depp is in it. And though I'm not a huge fan of Johnny Depp, he is easy on the eyes in that movie. Sensual, just like the chocolate. And then it was based on the book, same title, that came out in 1999. It's very different from the movie. So if you want two different experiences with something that really makes you want chocolate, watch the movie and then read the book. The book is set in the 80s. The movie is set in the early 1950s. So that's very interesting. Like Water for Chocolate, again, not just about chocolate, but a really sensual food book. Ooh, it's so delicious. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is the 2005. I didn't include Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because I'm not a big fan of that movie. Not that I'm a huge fan of this one, but I do like the dark side of it. Sometimes I think if you give Tim Burton too much money, he just doesn't know how to pull back on a movie. I kind of think that of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I do like the dark, sense of, we should do torture more children.
Poor kids.
Exactly. And then, of course, I had to give a nod to Forrest Gump because life is like a box of chocolates, kind of makes you want a cheap box of chocolates throughout the entire movie. And then, Jenny, this was your suggestion.
Yeah. So if you want a little bit of just interesting, the history of chocolate, there's a great video on YouTube. It's called The History of Chocolate Documentary, and it's by a group called Cogito, and it's on YouTube. And it's about 13 minutes long, and it's they do a fantastic job of taking you through some of what I would call the high points of the history of chocolate. It's also just funny as hell. I would just describe it as it's clever, it's very sharp. There's a bunch of stuff happening in the background with it. And it's you can tell the amount of work and the research that went into putting this little 13-minute video together, and that they did much more than 13 minutes of work in both researching and producing this. So I really enjoy it. It's a great way to get a little bit of entertainment and a little bit of history. And one of the things that this particular video brings up is it brings up sort of the dark side of chocolate. And like most really economically important crops, chocolate has a really dark side to it, if you'll pardon the dark chocolate reference. And it is a history steeped in warfare and blood, unfortunately. And it starts with, the Aztecs, as they conquered their way through Mexico. They loved, cacao. And as a result, as they conquered Mexico, they enslaved those that were growing it in order to feed their appetite for it. And so then again, we build on that with the Spanish coming in, again, conquering the Aztecs, enslaving basically all of conquering, decimating, and enslaving the Mesoamericans in order to harvest cacao so that they could send it to Europe. Eventually, what happens, though, in Mesoamerica is because of the disease brought with them, it essentially wiped out 90% of the Mesoamerican population. So now here's, the Spanish and the Europeans, they do not have the workforce anymore, they're slaves, to produce what the demand in Europe is asking for. And so they essentially take the entire operation and move it to Africa. So they basically, instead of they originally brought slaves from Africa to work these cacao plantations in South America and Central America. Once slavery starts to end, they take the whole operation, they move it to Africa. So now you have Ghana and the Ivory Coast, which even today are they like 70 or 80% of all cocoa production comes from these two countries. And unfortunately, again, slavery and child labor is still a huge part of the industry. And so one of the things that if when you're, again, sitting down enjoying your candy bar, know that there is a price that people are paying in order to bring that to you. And if you're interested, there are a number of companies that are starting to work into more fair trade practices when it comes to producing chocolate. So again, if you're interested, you guys, if you want to know what companies are doing in order to promote fair trade and to promote local cacao growers, you're actually starting to see Central and South America that are starting you're starting to see farming and plantations. They're starting to return to South and Central America that are smaller, locally owned and operated. So you can either check out Fair Trade International or Fair Trade America, and they have lists of companies that are working towards fair trade policies and what specifically they're selling that are considered fair trade. And just be careful when you're reading those fair trade things, because sometimes companies like Hershey's will say they're doing fair trade, but they might be doing fair trade on some of their ingredients for the chocolate, but not the chocolate or the cocoa itself. So there you go. Like I said, chocolate has a dark side. Mm-hmm. And that's a bummer, but that's the world we live in when it comes to economics. And like I said, the history of chocolate is fascinating and full of dirt.
Yeah.
Full of dirt. Monica says the original Chocolate Factory story was very dark political commentary. It is. It's not a fun, happy children's story. It's just not. So thanks, Monica. It's true.
It's true.
So there you go. If you had questions about chocolate, hopefully we answered them, and you can go out and eat lots of chocolate now because you can. So yay.
This is so delicious.
It is. And and the thing is, when it comes to chocolate, I do like really good chocolate, but I also like, whatever I can get up, in Walmart. I like a Kit Kat just as much as anybody. Kit Kats are good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's awesome. I know, and I have pretty much wiped out. Like I said, I bought a bunch of chocolate from the Chocolate Gnome yesterday, and I pretty much wiped it out because I can. So
because we can. Yes.
Because it's delicious. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, yes, Monica, thank you so much. Yay, chocolate, indeed. So I was thinking next weekend, brothers, pretty big celestial event happening next week. It is the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that will be taking place on the 21st. It's also the winter solstice coming up. I think we should talk about that next week.
I would like to talk about it because I would like to talk about what I do for my special winter solstice festivities. Because as you know, I'm not a big Christmas person. I don't decorate for Christmas. 12 years at Genetti's Dinner Theater during the Christmas season and 4 years of working Hallmark Christmas, which started in July, totally cured me of ever wanting to decorate anything ever again. But I do something fun for solstice, so I'd like to talk about that.
I'd like to hear about your solstice celebration. I have a 4 or a 3 foot fiber optic tree that I put up for Christmas, and that's pretty much it. So,
So
because it looks cool and it shimmers and it changes colors and that's right. And I'm not talking about the conjunction junction. What's your function? I'm talking about planetary conjunction, and everybody gets all excited because it's like, it's a Christmas star. I'm like, nah, dude, it's not. It's a celestial event. With Saturn and Jupiter. Yeah. 2 planets. Okay. All right. Monica says, one of the best things about being an adult, all the chocolate you want. I know, right? I tell students all the time, when you get to be a certain age and you have a job, you can have chocolate. Whenever.
You know, I used to tell my students, I'm like, when I go get dessert, I get 2 desserts because I'm a grown-up and I have a credit card, and because I don't share dessert, and so I can get 2. And they're like, well, what if we wanted dessert? We were with you. I'm like, I'd buy you 2.
Totally.
I'm okay with that.
Katie is guessing, Anne, that you are going to be dancing naked or something like that for the solstice.
It's cold here, and I don't like to be cold.
Okay, so we're going to say Anne's not going to be naked. It's cold. So there you go. Monica, thank you for the reminder that the Geminid meteor shower is tonight. Unfortunately, in fact, we were supposed to have some northern lights this week. It didn't really work out. It was cloudy anyway here. Even though I had wackadoodle dreams about the northern lights this week. Wackadoodle. Let's see what else. Susie says, believe in Jesus for God's sake.
That's okay. I think he believes in me, so I think we're okay.
It's perfect. So yeah, you guys, we will see you next week. We'll be talking about celestial stuff, and we'll be probably at Sunday, Ann? Sunday.
It's working for me, so.
Cool. All right, let's make it Sunday. Let's make it 3 o'clock real time.
Sounds good to me.
2 o'clock fake
I'll be
time.
Here. I don't think I have anything to do. So yeah, I'll be here.
I'm not really going anywhere probably till I get vaccinated someday. Raining here too. Does it rain in California? I guess it does.
I didn't know it did that.
It does. Surprise. So
surprise.
It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a great week. Enjoy. Yes. Enjoy this global warming weather that we're having right now. I'm not complaining. So
me neither. Yeah.
Right on.
Eat some chocolate.
Eat some chocolate. Enjoy. Bye.
Bye.